evening, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and tonight we got a special episode. Not that the rest of them haven't been awesome, because the G.I. Joe ones and the Transformer ones were a lot of fun, but tonight we had a special assignment. Cliff, New York, Cliffy got to create his own homework for our two guests tonight. But first, I'd like to say hello to my wingman, as always on Thursdays, Digger Jim. Jim, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. We don't have to work tomorrow, so we can go for hours. We can talk for hours, guys, because I don't work tomorrow. You guys have to get up and go, okay. But I can do whatever I want tomorrow. Let's do
this. And of course, our two guests tonight, we have Chuck Hensey. Welcome back to the show again, Chuck. Nice to see you again. And John's Comics with Kids. He may have been on here a dozen or so times. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You lose count after a while. Again, two great people in the community. But they had an assignment, and that came from our other co-host, Cliff. Cliff, good afternoon, sir. Evening, whatever the hell time it happens to be.
Good evening for those of us who are in the East Coast time zone. Hi. Welcome to the world.
Cliff came up with their homework. So, Cliff, would you like to tell the audience what the assignment was?
Okay. I'm allowed to do the reveal, right?
You are.
All right. So here's the reveal. All I vaguely remember is that someone brought up like a movie night theme, and I just remember that it was going downhill really fast. And I had to jump in and throw in my 2 cents and save it from pure and utter trash. So I assigned 5 different categories for Chuck and John to go head to head. The categories are musicals, coming of age, noir, science fiction, and westerns. And these guys each get 1 spec pick as per the rules, but they're such good students. They put in some extra assignment work, and they're going to deliver a story pick as well. So congratulations. I saved your 10-1-1 this week.
And so there was that commentary. Believe what you want. No, but
Believe it.
But of course, this is always fun. Whenever we got this crew on, you know Cliff's going to bring the energy. You know John's going to bring the hilarity. And Chuck is just awesome, and these guys have great knowledge, and I love that they like, for Chuck's episode of movies was fantastic, John's was fantastic, but you guys didn't just talk movies. You guys brought some history, you brought some facts, you brought some lore, and you guys gave a full presentation with some things that drew in the audience. So I thought that made both of your episodes really good and really special. So to have you both on tonight with of course one of our best personalities in the comics community, Cliff, and then Jim and I are just going to sit here and watch.
I hope Jim will comment, because Gary is a predator for the neurodivergent, and that's how we get our entertainment.
I'm with Gore, man. What the heck? No erotica, Cliff? Come on.
Oh, honey, baby, sugar pie.
If Gore?
If I had a crystal ball for what November 14th, 2024 would have looked like for me, erotica would have been at the top of the list.
Oh, I was surprised that you didn't.
This might be a whole nother show then.
You're surprised what, Gary?
I said I was surprised that wasn't one of them either.
I got Gore
I'm so tired
covered.
of all of you thinking that I'm one note.
You do, so I do not.
Gore, we'll get to the end of the show and we'll make it work.
Multiple notes.
Yes. His biggest note is he's a man whore, but he's got a bunch of little notes underneath that.
Were you talking about me now?
I don't know. Digger Jim, what do you think? My biggest note is I'm a man whore, or I hate Amanda Warler's storyline? Tell me.
Oof. That's a neck and neck right
there. Are they a tie?
Let's say hi to the first thing, as always, James Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. Great to see you. Will you Chuck chime in? Terrific comics and pop culture. Give him a follow. His links are in the description. John's Comics with Kids. Also, links in the description. Go follow him. He's got a lot of great stuff going on. And John, you've been killing it on your thumbnails lately.
I've been having a lot of fun with thumbnails, but this mustache is a lot of that fun.
Oh yes, and everyone do take a close look at John's 70s porn stash.
It's only a couple of weeks left before it's back in the beard. It's coming.
And then of course
we have Gore Vidal and actual Dracula on, and we do a 10-1-1 where they each deliver their 5 top erotic movies, because I am down for that.
Oh, we can do that.
I am.
I'm sure they'll agree.
I need to participate in something with Gore Vidal to absolve him of the 2 times he sent me into an existential crisis. So like I need to do something fun with him.
Brad, how you doing? Joe, one of my favorite people. How you doing? Unruly Simeon, great to see you, sir.
That great community member, Unruly.
Oh yes. Great books, man. That guy's got dynamite.
Oh my god. And super knowledgeable.
And Cliff acknowledging that Joe survived him.
They did in person.
Oh, well, he sent me a picture of him rocking himself in the corner after you talked to him. So he made it through. So
that's called separation anxiety.
It was separation anxiety. You know, I didn't do anything extreme with him.
How you doing?
He's over 70. I'm respectful.
Good.
Mr. DJ Links, great to see you.
While it's still a law.
D's Comic Quarter. One of my all-time favorite people, Jerry the Jitterbug. Great to see you, buddy.
Jerry the Jitterbug.
And of course, another one of my favorite people, Gore Vidal, who's been on the channel a few times. Just a fantastic person.
I can promise 0 Bridget Jones tonight. I can promise.
Christina Payne, one of the best supporters in the community. DJ Links, who we already said hi to, but I had to put it in my 2 cents, was robbed of the editing award.
Rob.
Very talented editor. Although Perry edits really well too. That category was stacked.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gretzky, great to see you. Hey, like any hockey name. We have Ruby G, calm, cool, collected. Good evening, sir. Great to see you. And we are getting through. Brother John Comics.
I was gonna say, I know I'm wearing JP's shirt, and you haven't gotten to him yet.
And I think DJ's talking to Cliff here.
Oh, Boner Jams 95 is great collection. Yeah.
Well, I actually have a follower called Boner Jams.
I know. I was just making a bad joke. Damn it.
I would love to know who he really is.
Actual Dracula, how you doing tonight, Adrian? Great to see you. Now, it hasn't ended my channel yet. I've showed plenty of erotic stuff. So let's.
Oh my god! You know JP? What? We should do. Actually, maybe we could do double erotic night, like a week, I don't know. We'll figure it out because we should.
We will.
You shouldn't do it in No Nut November.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, we should definitely do it in No Nut November. I love busting people's nuts in November. I love it. Love it. The only thing that should be happening in November is Movember for men's health, and don't any of y'all forget it. Men, how are you dying? Heart attack and suicide. Stop that shit.
Bill, how you doing?
Watch yourself.
Marcus.
And there's a lot of people saying, "Hey, I love all these great people," and John's here too. There's a lot of that. I don't know if anybody saw that trend.
John, they're scared. Because now that you look like a homoerotic 70s porn star, they're terrified. They don't want to be associated with that.
And JP's like, "Why are you wearing my merch?"
Hippie. He's wearing JP's merch.
I think he's just an aging hippie, and that's another reason. That's a different reason to be scared. So,
oh my god.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna get some John as fuck tonight.
We're gonna start with you and your pick, and then Chuck's gonna follow you for the first one. So let's roll into it.
Yeah, first I wanted to say huge thank you to Cliff for doing what Gary B doesn't do, which is coming up with assignments and organizing it. Gary's taken the back seat on his own channel now. Huge shout out to Chuck, an incredibly knowledgeable film guy, because this was a whole lot of fun, just bandying ideas back and forth. He and I, we decided not only to take this incredible idea by Cliff, but also to restrict ourselves. So we are going movies from 1990 to the present, very, very down. We're not going old black and white classics, which makes it hard for categories like musicals or what I'm going to choose first, which is Westerns.
Yeah,
not a ton of picks readily available in that time frame, but I got a Western. Not only obviously I own these movies, so I like them a lot, but I absolutely love this movie. It's a phenomenal tearjerker Western. And I know Cliff is going to be excited that I chose Brokeback Mountain as my Western.
There you go.
This movie's phenomenal.
And we thought there was no erotica tonight.
I got you,
Oh.
Cliff. I got you.
There we
Not
go,
a-
baby.
I'm a Larry McMurtry stan. I think he is a phenomenal writer. If you've never read Lonesome Dove, what an incredible miniseries as well. This is based on his work. Absolutely phenomenal story. Talk about a guy that understands the form of Westerns and the sort of, keep it all inside longing of these characters, because that's prime to that genre. The performances, like I mentioned, Anne Hathaway doesn't get enough respect for her work that she's doing in this. Obviously, these two gentlemen,
Anne was great.
This is her breakout role.
She's so good.
Role.
Yeah,
This
so
saved
good.
her. This saved her from the Princess Diaries. Are you aware of that? They did not tell Aang about her. They just made him meet her and he goes, "Oh, I love her. Let's use her." And then the next thing you know, she's in the movie. Her titties are popping, and boom, boom, girl.
Obviously, Michelle Williams. This got her from Dawson's Creek into Academy Award nominations.
Well, after this too, she started getting into more of
that's what I was hearing.
Those dramatic roles.
I think that was her breakout role as well.
Yeah, so good. Obviously, Ang Lee, a superb director who has gotten so many great performances from so many great actors, but ultimately just an absolutely stunning film. Even crazy Randy Quaid pulls off a great performance in this movie. Absolutely phenomenal. And McMurtry's screenplay, so strong. Absolutely just a great movie, great Western. Yeah.
And I was really pissed at all the hate that Heath Ledger got after this movie. He was spectacular. And then everyone hating on him when he got casted. I'm like, you guys, this guy's a great actor. You guys are just hating the hate. He's fantastic in everything he's in.
Yeah.
He was fantastic in everything he was in.
I can't imagine what could come over a populace that could make them feel that way.
What would make them so uncomfortable about this performance?
So uncomfortable. What could make them doubt the quality and caliber of his acting? Could it be homophobia?
Shocking, but true.
I think they just didn't like Ang Lee personally, but that's just me. But
Ang Lee's fantastic.
Ang Lee's amazing. Yeah.
No, I think
90% of his cinematography on that Hulk movie was great. It's too bad the story was garbage.
I mean, there's that problem. But Ang Lee, if you looked at his filmography, Ang Lee really is one of the most diverse filmmakers out there.
Yeah.
And this just goes to show what he can do with quality story and just a real simple narrative with strong performances all through. And gore, that's my job. I'm trying to throw some curveballs at you. I didn't think you were going to expect this as my Western pick.
Gore.
So there you go.
With the hat that made the audience uncomfortable.
That's the cattle, actually. That's what got him. So.
There's no cattle. There's a lot of sheep, right? Isn't that sheep? I think it's sheep, I think it's sheep in this.
Wow.
It's so funny. DJ Link said, "My only critique, not gay enough." And to be honest, it wasn't gay enough.
That's fair. That's
fair. Their first love scene was so it was so graphic without being too graphic. And I was I'm looking around the theater. I'm like, oh, there. Oh, I was like, oh, the straights are running out the door. Oh, it's happening. Ooh.
Yep.
Great point, John.
Exactly, Brother John. Yes.
That theater started with 18 of us and dwindled down to 12. It was a shocking night.
Yeah. I mean, it was a powerful theater experience because I think there were moments that the audience gasped, when certain moments occur. Obviously, when he finds out Gyllenhaal's character's fake, like at the end, that is a brutal moment. And of course, when his wife sees him kissing him, like that's a moment that a lot of audiences are like, oh.
When Michelle Williams saw that, you felt her heart break.
Oh man,
you can see it on her face.
She was trying to make it work for so long, and then realizes why it didn't matter what she tried.
Going to work.
Yeah, it was never going to work. Never going to work. So there you go, a Western for you.
And I love how she pulls up her panties, and she's like, "All right, that's it. Time to live for me." That's right, girl.
Yep.
Yeah, he went in dry. I was like, that was like rough.
Jay Ryan.
He didn't even like, let me tell you.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, DJ.
310 to Yuma.
DJ, that was my second
great one. Yes.
That was my second place. That was my backup.
That's what
pick.
I thought was coming up.
But
John,
that
your
one
time is
was
over.
close
It's
for me,
Chuck's
too.
time in the spotlight. Gosh.
sorry.
All right, so for my Western, there were a lot of gasps with this movie too, but not necessarily for the same reasons you all were referring to. And it is Django
Oh, wow.
Unchained.
You know, I thought there was no way you could impress me after Brokeback Mountain, but you picked the one movie that had a shot.
So
God.
I will confess, I love Quentin Tarantino. Okay,
and brutal.
Tarantino does a movie, I will tune in for it, even if he's just talking about weird stuff in Hollywood in the 1960s that I'm really not interested in. Just because I will show up for it. This is a love letter, a demented love letter to your Western genre, and really taking it and getting a hold of Spinal Tap's amp and putting it on 11.
Yeah.
And just really cranking it up with the level of violence and probably the greatest villain we have ever seen on the movie screen in Candide, who is just horrific. And for you talk about people taking risks now. You got Leonardo DiCaprio, who is an established star, but he is an established hero. He is a leading man. He is not pure evil, where Candide is pure evil. Yeah. Right. Now, to be fair, he might be sending in some job applications right now to people, but he is just, he's just awful. And this is a great, Unforgiven was on the list. Now, I will tell you that I didn't go with Unforgiven because it seemed a little too obvious. And I like Eastwood's Westerns, but I am not a Western guy by trade.
Right. And they're an easy pick.
Yeah, well, it is. And the other thing is that for me, I like when I looked at my favorite Westerns that I like, Dances with Wolves, that's one of the few pure Westerns I really like. But that didn't fit quite in it was just on the outskirts of our time period. I look at the Westerns I love the most. They are the ones who take the genre and really amp it up, whether it is Blazing Saddles or it is Maverick, which I think is so criminally underrated. Yeah, and I don't have on DVD. I've got it on VHS, which tells you how long I've had it. And then you got Django, which I think all three, the people who produced it, knew the genre well enough to love on it. And can we say that Chris Waltz in this movie is just, yes, Jamie Foxx is amazing in Django and he's stoic and he glares at everybody and he's great. But Christopher Waltz brings such a wonderful flair to his character and just really moves the plot along so well. And the ending of his character is such a shocker because you expect him, if you're following the traditional genre, you think he's going to make it. And then, yeah. So this is why this is my pick for my favorite modern Western.
You are
Samuel Jackson. It was.
Oh God!
Yes, and then there's Samuel L. Jackson, which yes,
right,
yeah,
so disturbing.
He really met. At the end of that, I was just like, oh man. Ugh.
Now, what'd you think of the Hateful Eight?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is that considered a Western though? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
I would consider it a Western. Yeah, and it's good. It's not, but it didn't make that tier. That next tier. So, and that's the thing.
And I will say my only issue with Django that I had with it is the same one I have with Inglourious Bastards, which it feels like two movies sewn together in the middle. And I love, in both cases, I love the first movie a ton, and then it kind of weirdly ends, and then a whole other movie seems to happen after. And I don't dislike the second movie. I just liked the first movie so much.
See, and I would say, yeah, I do. I think Inglourious Bastards, I totally see that, which is interesting because that was potentially on my spec list. That's why I almost had two Tarantino movies instead of one. I think with this, though, there's enough of a continuity that while it feels like there's two separate movies, you really do have one, but the tone shifts. Kind of like you think about maybe some of the Kill Bill stuff.
Yeah.
Where you see these rapid shifts of tone, which to me is very Tarantino-esque.
Oh, for sure.
Where he starts you down one area, then immediately jerks you into another one, and then maybe pulls you back and maybe doesn't. And some of that is to keep you thinking and playing with how the genre works.
See, and I love that too. And the thing I love about Tarantino movies is dialogue, because I'm a big dialogue person. And a lot of people, dialogue takes them out of movies. Me, it draws me into movies. And I love the dialogue because there's always so much subtext going on when people are talking.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I like movies that shift like that, but that's a thing that you gotta that's got to appeal to you for a lot of that stuff. Exactly. And I like when movies just shift.
And Kerry Washington is amazing in here too. I mean,
yes.
we cannot forget her performance also. So I mean, you know,
I don't think anybody would forget Kerry Washington ever.
You'd be surprised.
Yes, you would. So
there's a lot of reasons to remember Kerry Washington.
Broomhilda.
There are. Okay. So
good picks, but keep going.
All right. So for genre 2, we're going to do musicals now because there's a musical, and it's not a musical or anything else. This is a musical, and it is. I remember my wife and I seeing this in the movie theater, and both of us going, "This is freaking amazing!" And we immediately bought the soundtrack, and it's Moulin Rouge.
Oh yes,
Moulin Rouge.
Can.
Now, of course, this will satisfy Cliff. Cliff is now all set with everything. This musical is incredible, and you know, I didn't know that those two actors could sing. I did not know they could sing. And Ewan McGregor is fantastic. Nicole Kidman is Nicole Kidman. I would watch her reading a phone book if she could find one, but she can't now. So, but it's the way, not only the way they told the story. You know, we're barely 2 minutes in, and then we have a narcoleptic guy narcoleptic Hungarian something or another fall through the ceiling, and immediately you know that whatever you thought this movie was going to be, that ain't it. Whatever it is. And you got John Leguizamo doing a fantastic job. The whole setting of the Moulin Rouge.
He's an underrated actor, John Leguizamo.
Oh, he is, and he's someone who should be more than just a character actor, and was for a while.
And he's playing a real person, Toulouse-Lautrec, the artist.
And a really fascinating person too.
A really unusual guy,
Yeah, I mean, you know,
a jack of all trades.
And then what they did with the songs and how they took these modern songs and put them into this setting, Like a Virgin, how they used Like a Virgin. Forget the other songs, which are amazing. Okay, and it completely reignited my love for "We Can Be Heroes" by David Bowie, which I always loved beforehand, and I love even more, especially the context they used it in.
Yeah,
but the Like a Version, how they used Roxanne.
Oh yeah,
the really grating tone in the voice as he's delivering the life lesson to the writer.
Yeah.
With Roxanne and the gravelly way he did it,
and the dance sequence. What the dancers are doing, because they're acting out the sexual assault that's basically happening elsewhere. Right. The dancers are doing an incredible sequence in that.
Yes. So I cannot. This is a movie I go back and I see probably once a year. I have the soundtrack. The soundtrack, it just blows me away.
Yeah.
And how could you fall asleep in this movie?
It's too deep for him. There's enough hockey action.
Did they not crank the sound? Did they not turn the sound system on? I mean, come on.
Yeah. This is the most frenetic movie. I don't know how you fall asleep in a movie that just is like that adrenaline packed. Baz Luhrmann does not know how to take the pedal off the metal.
No, he doesn't. No.
I encounter people who tune me out regularly, and so whatever.
I don't know how they do that. Yeah. So,
because I feel like
great pick.
And the casting in this movie, top to bottom, is just amazing. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's just I can go on and on, but you know, we do want to give John some equal time here. So, but like I said, that's my musical choice right there for modern music.
Amazing pick. Ooh, and Random Rips. That's a great musical phenomenon.
Yes.
I was gonna say though, Chuck, like my wife and I, inside of our wedding rings, Freedom, Beauty, Truth, and Love are inside of our wedding rings. That's how much we love that movie.
Awesome.
We saw that when we were just kind of like early dating. We fell in love with the movie, watched it. So that's a phenomenal pick. So yeah, I love it. I bandied around a few off the wall choices, and I ultimately was like, you know what, there's been so many great Disney animated ones that I gotta go with. So I'm going with Tangled.
Okay.
This movie is fucking hilarious.
I love Tangled. It's so underrated too. Nobody gives it enough credit.
It's so hilarious. Like the writing is so strong. Obviously, Mandy Moore does a phenomenal job as Rapunzel. Zachary Levi is so great as Flynn Rider in this. And my favorite is when they get to like the henchman bar tavern and all the bad guys have this song about their dreams and what they wanted their lives to be and how it's not ended up that way.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It is it's so good. Obviously the big love song is really beautiful and well done, but for me this is a laugh factory. I've Got a Dream is the song for me from this, and I've sung this with my daughters countless times. This hit at the right time when my girls were the right age to enjoy this. This is a phenomenal addition, by the way. There's so many little added things in here.
But it's also one of those Disney movies, animated movies, that goes under the radar. Like that movie deserves way more attention than it gets.
That movie had, if I remember correctly, had a lot of production issues with it. It had a bunch of rewrites, and then it sort of fell about the same time that Pixar's star was shining so brightly.
And they actually brought John Lasseter from Pixar to help with the rewrites of this, to add that sort of Pixar comedy element. So it does feel Pixar-esque. And Brother John, my secondary pick was Once. I almost went with Once, but in the end I was like, you know what? There's a lot of, Moana is another great pick. There's a lot of great Disney musicals that I think get overlooked because they're for the kids or whatever. But I could easily just sit on my own and watch Tangled and just laugh my
and
butt
Brother
off.
John, Chicago was my second choice, by the way.
Good pick.
Yeah, that would have been my first 100%.
Shout out to Repo, the genetic opera.
I've never even heard of that.
Failed you immediately for Repo.
I've never even heard of it.
John wins round 1. Chuck wins round 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to get your comments out.
The only thing I remember, we went to go. It was like Thanksgiving, and we went to go see the movie Red. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah,
Red? And we're in the theater, and they start the previews, and I'm like, this is a lot of Disney previews for an R-rated movie, and all of a sudden. Tangled starts, and the whole theater's like, what is going on? Somebody finally gets up and goes and says, dude, you got the wrong movie playing. And the guy comes in and he's just like, look, this is gonna take a few minutes to switch over. We're giving everybody free passes. We got free passes out of the deal. But I was like, this is weird. Don't you think this is weird? There's a lot of Disney in an R-rated movie. And I knew something was wrong.
Maybe they just found the Fritz the cat and they just sort of, slipped it in there by accident. Anyways,
I got free passes, so that's all I cared about.
All right, John, the third genre.
All right, I'm going to go noir. Another one that I think is sadly underrepresented these days, although you can stretch noir to a lot of categories, and I'm going to go with one that I just I think is hilarious. And the reason I think in a lot of ways that we have the MCU that we've got is because someone was willing to put Robert Downey Jr. in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is a love letter to noir, even to like pulp noir novels. There's a lot of time spent appreciating where those characters might have come from and those tropes. Great performance by Downey. He obviously overshadows the entire thing, but then when Kilmer comes in, this is for me the last great, incredibly memorable Kilmer performance. I think he steals every scene he's in. I love when he's smacking Downey around and trying to knock some sense into him. The entire dialogue of the scene at the lake when Downey is like, oh, I should throw the gun in the lake. And he's like, you threw my gun, my registered gun in the lake next to the dead body. So now when they drain the lake and they find the gun, where do you think they're going to do? Like, he has to like walk him through the idiocy, and he's like, oh, I don't want that gun. He's like your fingerprints on it, and it's now in the lake with the body. It's so good. There's so many great moments, and the twists, I never saw the twists coming. I laughed a ton all through this from the first time I saw it in the theater, and I continue to find all the jokes, even as hard as it was to watch him lose his finger several times in the movie. So funny to watch. Like the first time he's got his hand up, my wife's like, "Oh, he almost got his finger closed in the door." Spoiler: he's gonna lose it, and the next time he does the same stupid move. So great.
I think people forget, especially the generation right now that just knows Downey for Tony Stark.
Yeah,
they forget what just an unbelievable actor and chameleon he is, and how much he understands movies. If we had one, Chaplin would have. If I had that on DVD, I would have found a way to bring in Chaplin.
Yeah,
because you really see, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang really shows that immense range he has. Or right
before this, he had done Wonder Boys, which had another great performance from him.
Exactly.
He was playing these kind of understated roles, and then Shane Black obviously gave him the chance to be the lead again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice, good pick.
Excellent pick.
I just put my pick.
And of course, I love Perry the lawyer and the fact that he's Gay Perry here. Wonderful.
Gay Perry. Yeah,
that's right. All right, so for my noir pick, I went with the Coen movie. Because the Coens are another pair who just really understand cinema and cinema history. And so we have The Man Who Wasn't There.
Ooh, that was not going to be the one I thought. Oh, wow.
This is very much when you think about classic noir being done in a modern sensibility. This is very much it. It has the feel of a Double Indemnity or the more classic ones. And the cast, come on. You got Billy Bob Thornton really doing a great job at being Billy Bob Thornton, but finding the right role for him to be Billy Bob Thornton in.
Right.
And I'm not knocking him as an actor. I just understand that's kind of who he is. You got Frances McDormand in here.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to bring up the enigmatic, fabulous, talented, multifaceted Frances McDormand. Thank you.
That's right. And she is just so on point here. And she brings that sense of mystery, which she brings to a lot of her characters.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And to have this sort of aura of mystery or
that femme fatale kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I know so much femme fatale. Just this, they're not very clear. There's always multiple sub-levels and depth to them. And here, that really registers so well with her character. And you got James Gandolfini. I mean,
yeah,
James Gandolfini, yes.
Right. And this is a genre he really fits in well with. And so this is it's a fun movie. It's a great movie to see. And if you're looking for a modern noir, I think this really fits the category so very well.
This is the first movie you guys are brought up that I haven't seen.
It's a lot of fun. So again, obviously it's noir, but
it's a lot of fun. Of the two, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is the fun one.
Okay, okay, I'll grant you that.
If you are a cinephile, this is fun in a cinephile way.
This is a fun movie, you say? Oh yeah, no.
but this one is more of a hard noir.
Yeah.
Film. Like where the other one is playful with being noir, playful with being dramedy, right? And detective-y. This one is not playful with it. This one leans right into it.
Yeah.
This one really embraces it and takes it on full thought. Though I will tell you again, there's another one. If I had the DVD, LA Confidential was my next.
That's what I was trying to think of. I couldn't think of the name of it, but that's what I was thinking. LA Confidential.
No, this was actually the better choice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. LA Confidential is very ABC detective.
Yeah,
this
that's true.
Is noir.
I don't disagree with that.
The assignment was noir.
Yeah.
And
look
noir,
at that, Chuck. A+. A+.
Chuck. A+. But John produced neo-noir. I will give them a tie because This was a very.
I'm good.
I'm gonna flip the table
Come
over
on,
on this guy.
Cliff.
No.
That sounds like a cop out from Cliff.
That doesn't sound right at all. I think he's,
It sounds like maybe we both understood the assignment.
just making
you
up
both
words
understood the
now.
And let me tell you,
Neo-Noir.
Neo Noir, bonus
Yes.
point for Neo Noir,
Yes.
and bonus point for Gay Perry. So that
There you
brings
go.
us even.
That
brings us-
ties it? I thought that would take me over the top. I was expecting a little over the
Listen,
top.
it would have
Classic versus
because
new.
Chuck brought in Francis McDormand, locked and loaded, baby. Locked
All right.
and
There
loaded.
you go, right
He
there.
knew. He knew.
I will
Now-
say, like, that's not even my favorite noir from them, because I almost brought Miller's Crossing, and Francis is in this too.
Yeah, so
I
that-
think it's
that
a
is
superior
fantastic also.
noir, but that would have put us
You-
right at 1990 on the button.
Yeah, you may be right. You may be right, but that movie is too hard.
It's
That's
a
like-
I
very
love-
difficult. You
I
got to
love
really
Two
put your
Old Man.
thinking cap on.
That is not a movie that I could say to my friends, "Oh, put it on Saturday night."
No casual
That is-
viewing. No.
That is a movie. That
Although I
tell
will say,
people-
Man Who Wasn't There is not casual viewing either.
No, that's
No,
not
it's
casual
not,
viewing either.
but it is special. It is
Yeah.
special.
But it is if you want to see noir, that's what you want to see.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna go sci-fi here, and I love sci-fi, and this is one of those again where my DVD collection doesn't necessarily reflect my love for it, because there's so much sci-fi that I love, but not a lot that I buy necessarily. And this one was bought because I enjoyed it, and because my wife has a love for the entirety of this product, and so we're gonna go Serenity and Be a Brown.
Oh, I
Coat.
love Serenity.
Wow.
So
Good.
And
My wife-
Ejiofor in that movie is amazing.
He
oh,
is
he
great.
is. Oh, yes, and he's a fantastic foil in that movie.
He is menace
Because-
without overacting. He is just perfect.
Well, and he's not bad per se, and that's what makes him great. Now, I think some of the Reaver stuff on here, I'm not sure that completely works for me. I like it, but I'm not sure it doesn't totally jive with what I remember from the TV series. My
Okay.
wife was a brown coat, and so she loved Firefly.
Oh,
is
I
great.
liked it too. Love
And
it.
I liked it too once I finally saw it in order. So,
Yep.
so when this movie came out, she was like, "Okay, we are going to see this." Yes, Summer Glau is incredible. So she's like, "We're going to see this movie on opening night." And I said, "We are seeing this movie." So we're seeing this movie on opening night. It was great. It was great. I really love, again, the way that Josh Whedon played with different tropes in it and effectively did it, and really brought you a very different sci-fi future than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
You know, one that is not all perfect, beautiful, and shining. It's very dirty. It is very messy. It is not organized. You have a tremendous cast in here.
Yeah.
Just like Joss Whedon
Me
sold.
too. And
Yeah.
I
And
love
you know me.
Alan. What's his name? Alan.
Tudyk.
Tudyk.
Yes.
Alan
never
Tudyk is
seen-
my favorite thing about the movie.
Yeah,
And
I think
He's
he's
always
the best.
great. It's so sad. But and also, because you know I like the ladies, you can't
Uh-huh.
choose between the ladies in here. I mean, you got Summer Glau, you got Marina Baccarin, you got Gina Torres,
Yep.
and you have
Gina
Jewel
Torres.
Staite.
Right.
All four of
if
them are
any of
just
you, if
stellar
any
hotties.
of you have any taste, it's Baccarin all the way.
Oh,
All the way.
I love
I'm a
Marina
Gina
Baccarin.
Torres. Don't hate on Gina Torres.
I
man.
know.
You're hating
See,
on-
I like
know-
Jewel,
I know
so,
how
you
to
know,
back
it's just,
my
you know.
ladies.
They're all
I'm backing up.
fantastic, and it's
Yeah,
sad
exactly.
that Summer Glau isn't in stuff nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like where'd she go?
Yeah, I feel bad for her. Yeah,
Yeah,
one,
no.
After the
guest
Sarah Connor
appearance-
Chronicles, she disappeared.
one guest appearance on The Big Bang Theory, and the girl is gone. But you know what? Hollywood is tiresome and terrible to women. So God bless her wherever she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, she might have just
What?
gotten out on her own.
But and Alan Tudyk, Cliff, is also one of my favorite actors. He's great in everything.
Oh my
And,
God. I love him, love him. The Alien show, I love him.
And this
Freaking
series is
Harlequin, I love him.
and this series is the one that really brought him to people's eyes and had them kind of step up and go, "Wow, this guy can do anything." You know, and obviously, of course,
And I was mad when they killed him. I was so mad.
I was
Yeah.
well,
furious.
so was my wife. I mean, I was more mad about the preacher dying, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I wanted to know more about Book.
And
And to be fair, Dark Horse released a one-shot graphic novel that sort of did some of his history in a really interesting
but
circular way. Oh, I'm getting to it. Just hang on a minute here. We're gonna get to
Kevin
Nathan
is not
Fillion.
patient
You know,
tonight. Jeez.
that's right. And of
You
course, you got
can-
Fillion leading the whole thing, and he carries it.
Yeah.
He really plays a very complicated protagonist. Again, there's not a clear good with him.
No.
You know, he has his own clear moral code, but he doesn't have a clear good in him. All right,
I didn't know that. I got to hear from Cliff here in a little bit.
Oh,
He also has some of the best lines the character
Nathan
gives
Fillion's
at any point.
fantastic.
He's got some great lines in this.
And I wish he
did.
would have got to play. I wish he would have got to play.
Green Lantern.
No.
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 The video game that I love. I played all of them. Now I can't think of it.
Super
Halo?
Mario Brothers.
So Nathan Drake.
Nathan
I really
Drake.
wish he would have got to play Nathan Drake.
Is that something?
But he was too old by the time they made that movie.
Also, why wouldn't you pick someone that actually looked like Nathan Drake?
But that short they did online with him was fantastic.
If you say so. John, are we ready?
No,
See, he
He's
doesn't
cutting
like
you
the
off.
lead, and I can't do anything. What can we
he's
say?
not
So
done.
here we
I also
go.
want to shout out
He's hating on the Nathan Fillion. That's all.
Alan
all right.
Tudyk and A Knight's Tale with Paul Bettany. Those two are a great 1-2 punch in that movie.
Oh my God,
Oh,
they are wonderful.
No, the best.
With
The,
our dearly departed
And Paul
friend.
Bettany's one of my favorite actors too. And also
You know,
Tucker and
that
Dale
story-
versus Evil.
That story is such trash, but they sell it so well. It's
They
a delightful film. It's
His-
a delightful film.
And
his bit in Death at a Funeral.
yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen Death at a Funeral? Oh my God.
Yep.
Which one? The original?
I was gonna say
or or
he's in
or
both. He plays the same part in both.
Right, he's in both. Yes, he is in
Yeah,
both.
that's right. He
That's
is
the
in
same
both.
character. God bless him.
He's so
So-
great.
He's
All right, back to
really-
Chuck because we're taking away from Chuck.
The original.
The last thing I'm going to say about this, and talk about a very different future, is the use of the Mandarin Chinese in it.
Oh yeah.
And the implications of what's happened to the world over time, and the fact that they integrate that. And obviously, of course, the cursing, they get away with saying things that they might not be able to say otherwise, unless you got your closed captions on. But I really do like how they use that throughout the series to kind of indicate some backstory that we never get. But the fan fiction we would like to know. Okay, well, how did we get to that where the Chinese is so completely integrated into the conversation with everyone? So, all right. So, John, it's all
And
yours.
You gotta move, John.
yeah, I mean, it's so rewatchable. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And how
Wrong word.
Cliff, how dare you? Because Gina Torres was like
There are better Gina
was a
Torres
nerd
films for
crush.
me to celebrate Gina Torres.
I mean, she's great on Suits. If anybody's never seen the show
Yeah.
Suits, I
She
love
is.
her on
Suits
Suits.
is wonderful
Suits.
and on Netflix. Thank you.
It is. It is.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a bad Gina Torres out there somewhere, but I've never seen it.
No
So,
such
glad
thing
that-
as bad Gina
I'm glad-
Torres.
I'm glad
There's
that Jim
no
is
such
here to
thing.
keep Gary B moving because I mean, obviously, he's not doing much. He's not carrying his weight on his own show.
What's happening?
So I this is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's easily like top 3 from the last 30 years. Just wrecks me, makes me cry every single time. And not a lot of science fiction movies do that. And that's because I think Arrival is just a phenomenal
yes.
tearjerker.
all right.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a ton of science fiction here, right? Dealing with the aliens and all the technology. But for me, this is a movie about communication and teaching. And so as a teacher, I am all in on this. And then the reveal at the end, yeah, I'm a wet rag. I'm an absolute wet rag for the last like 20 minutes of this movie. Amy Adams she can do anything. She can do anything. She's singing in the Muppets. Yeah, she's singing in Enchanted. Give it to her. Julie and Julia, she can do no wrong for me. And then this movie came along and I was not expecting what it was. And I just I've watched this many times with my daughters.
So sad.
It's amazing.
So sad.
And the way that it's giving it the truth away at the beginning, and you just can't see it for what it is, much like living in chronological order in time, right?
Right.
We can't possibly see all ends. And great performances all around. So many wonderful performances. But for me, this is Amy Adams just carrying a movie so beautifully.
Neither one of you picked the Will Smith classic After Earth?
Get out of here with this guy. This guy.
I had to troll you.
Jesus.
We need
Yeah,
to
iRobot?
in the feed now. I mean, come
You know
on.
what? iRobot? Come on, iRobot's great.
Jesus.
No,
I do
Annihilation
like
is another one, John. I would have picked
Yeah,
Annihilation.
Annihilation. I
that's
don't
so
own
good.
Annihilation, but Annihilation and Ex Machina both also great.
Oh, I love Ex Machina.
Same filmmaker and great
Yes.
sci-fi from the last 20 years. But this is one that's going to be on my list, probably all-time movies. just
Alex Garland's
consistently.
great, and I love his novel, The Beach. If no one's ever read The Beach, what a great read.
Never.
And I love the movie too.
Okay, time out. What was the year period we were doing here?
90s to
19
today, but I was
90s to
trying to
today.
stay as close to today as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go,
all my
brother John.
movies are
John's
basically
throwing
2000.
out stuff from the 70s. I'm like, bro, you're way off. I was pretty sure he said 90s at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ultimately the only thing I was asking for 90 was for because I was like, maybe I'm including Miller's
Yeah.
Crossing. I was like, 1990, it's right on the edge. But in the end, I was
Brother
like,
John,
no.
I think Contact is still good.
I love Contact. Great movie.
Yeah, I like Contact. I don't love it. That's as a Jodie
Yeah.
Foster
Okay,
fan, I like
this is
it.
better.
This
I
is
think
the
Arrival
emotional
better.
response I wanted from Contact, but I didn't get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah,
better.
this movie crushes you.
Oh,
You know,
Man.
Contact, the story, a Carl Sagan story, Let Us Remember Greatness. It's really beautiful, and I think the book is more enchanting. I think the story is more
Yeah,
enchanting.
I wouldn't
but
be
the movie did
surprised.
a fine job.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yes, that's another favorite of mine. A great read too. Children of Men.
Both great
Children of
movies.
Men is
Yeah.
a great movie. It's
My wife
underrated.
loves 12 Monkeys. I can't stand it. My wife loves 12 Monkeys.
It's funny because as much as you can't stand it, both of these films are on the horizon for reality. So there you go.
And on
Children
that
of Men
happy
was.
thought,
Oh,
if
so
you
who
guys
won
haven't
this one,
read
Cliff?
it,
Who won this one?
Such a
Did
good
John?
read.
I did. But no,
I
John,
did.
John
it's all right.
John gets this round with Arrival. My disgust of Nathan Fillion and the Buffy creator are enough.
That's fine. I get that. All right.
All right.
But like it also it's a hard movie to enjoy because on its own, I can enjoy The Arrival on its own.
Yeah.
Serenity is like a package deal. It
Yeah.
doesn't have the same vibe for me.
And I don't
It
even
is
know that
a
it lives up to the
focus
show. The
because
show is obviously superior.
a solid choice, Chuck. I'm sorry that maybe my biases have clouded.
No, I totally get it. I totally
I didn't
understand
realize
those
this was
biases.
going to be a competition, but I'm enjoying the competition.
Why shouldn't it be a competition?
That's right.
Everything we can do to make this more entertaining should be right in there.
Gary, we're
So-
gonna need graphics next time where somebody gets a star and then this one gets a cross. And
You're asking a lot from the host who gives the
some
homework to
game
everybody
show
else.
stuff going
I know.
on.
That's
Cliff
why
used to
you
do that
host,
with
John.
his.
You know this. You have a
no.
kid.
Or we tell Gary, we're never doing this again until you can load those graphics.
Yeah. You love those graphics.
He's got to get his own homework assignment.
Get the punching hands. Get the hands and gloved hands sitting there punching.
Well,
the
yeah,
face with the glue.
StreamYard will only charge you another $50 a month to have graphics.
There it is.
Oh.
Cliff will pay for it. Go ahead, Cliff.
You gotta make
So-
your own, Gary. Get out there.
I will say my favorite of the categories that Cliff gave us was coming of age.
Yeah.
This is a genre that covers so many. It covers all the other genres, right? It's
Well,
an
you
amazing category.
You guys got to do it again though, because there's so many categories that weren't picked too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
you
do that.
realize
Creative
it doesn't take
categories.
much to get Cliff and I, or Chuck and I, to come back and talk movies, and Cliff's full of great ideas.
I know. Yeah, it is. We can talk movies all day.
And Jim, we love hanging out with Jim too.
Yeah.
Jim is a delight.
I mean, you could
I'm
be there
dying to
too, I
see
guess.
this coming
Gary.
of
You
age,
can come.
though. I might
gonna
have my
sit
brother.
play, Gary.
All those
all you
guys
gotta
that
do.
taken that John recently are coming back to haunt me.
I might have my brother take my place on this one time if you do it again because he's way more knowledgeable than I am. I mean, I can see a movie,
Brother
but I
Jim?
don't-
Now, did either of you,
Brother
because it's a little off, did any of you here ever read Children of Men?
I didn't.
I've never read it. I
It
saw
is
that movie, but I
Such a
never read
fan-
it.
It's a little different than the movie.
Audio
If you
book.
like the movie, you'll love the book. The book's
Okay.
better,
Okay.
obviously,
Okay.
but the book is so great. Yes. By leaps and bounds. There's stuff they go into in the book that's not touched in the movie.
Wow.
And they change a couple things. The book is phenomenal. Like
Okay.
you'll start it and you won't put it down until it's done.
Nice.
And there was another one I was hoping they would make into a sci-fi like genre movie called I Who Have Never Known Men, by a French author, which is phenomenal. But anyway,
Okay.
So we're back.
By the way, I want a John versus John so bad.
Who's the other John? Brother John?
Yeah, Brother John, baby.
That's right.
Brother John.
Happy to do it.
John, and we just get it all in there.
All the Johns.
Thanks for stopping by.
If I could assemble
We
the council,
appreciate it.
if I could call in the Council of Johns, I'd say let's just do it, and then everybody gets two categories.
Yeah.
So when it came to this category, like I went around a bunch of times, but I kept coming back to the same movie. It's technically autobiographical. I prefer the extended version. It won Best Academy Award for Best Screenplay. I absolutely love Almost Famous.
Oh yes, I was hoping you'd pick that.
This movie is superb,
God.
and this is the extended director's edition. The movie is technically called Untitled here. They add something like 40 minutes of footage here. Great, your girl's back, Frances McDormand, absolutely phenomenal here. But talk about a coming of age story told by the person that went through it.
Yeah.
I've watched this movie a ton. I like both versions of it, but of course, if I can get more, I want more. This is the more version. And
I tell you, it is
amazing performances.
But I love me some Kate Hudson.
Yeah, I thought it was that's the first thing when you said the category. I was like, oh, somebody's got to pick Almost Famous. I mean, to me, that's exactly what this is.
Billy Crudup is so great. He's got such a great performance. Jason Lee, such a great performance. Even what's his name? The late night show host shows up at the end. I think there's just lots of great little moments and powerful, funny, powerful, touching, clever. Philip Seymour Hoffman, so good in this.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this movie. And then, like Chuck mentioned earlier in the musical section, soundtrack. The music in this movie,
badass time period. Come on,
phenomenal.
They had the best music on the world.
Yeah. The budget for the music on this was more than double what it is on any normal movie. Absolutely spent the bank on it. And then of course
this line.
Yeah.
There you go. The Nancy Wilson is the wife of Cameron Crowe, the filmmaker, and so she's doing all this amazing original music to go through the movie, like she does for a lot of his movies. But something about it here just hits different. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, you threw down a major gauntlet there. So let's see what we have. All right. All right. Okay. Flip it around. Now, people are going to be shocked. See, I have not shown an animated movie yet so it's time to break the cycle. So this is not the first movie by this director my wife and I ever saw in the movie theater, though I nearly brought that, but not quite. This is the second one. This is Miyazaki's Spirited Away.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
If you are talking about, in my mind, coming of age, what they do with her is just incredible. Her character arc from the beginning to the end, when you look at her in the car in the beginning and her in the car at the end, her parents don't grow any, but the amount of growth that she goes through in the spirit world is incredible.
I've seen that so many times.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you could talk about the gorgeous animation and the incredible storytelling and the beautiful music. The English dub on this is just a fantastic. It's one of the better Miyazaki dubs. Though I would still argue that Mononoke has a better dub, and that was very high on the list too. And
Howl's Moving Castle. I love the voice work in that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think My Neighbor Totoro is underrated as well.
But for this, when you're talking about coming of age, she grows so much. And you can see her moving from a child who doesn't have any confidence, being forced into the bathhouse because there's nowhere else for her to go, and being given an impossible task to do, which is to survive. Forget saving your parents, just surviving.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome too. And then to watch her maneuver her way around, sometimes stumbling, sometimes making giant mistakes with no face, but being able to redeem herself and at the end make the right choices because she has grown so much and she can think so much about what she's doing and really marry her heart and her mind at the same time to save her parents and to save the wizard and to really move things forward. To me, this is amazing. Now,
and the pace is so well done. It's paced so well.
Now, I will tell you, this was really tied with another animated movie. So I don't normally do two, but here's the other one, Iron Giant.
The Iron Giant.
Great
where
one.
Again, you're talking about the coming of age, and I'm going to use the giant here to a certain extent with the boy too, but the giant and his coming of age from being a weapon to at the end where he picks it up, puts on the shield, and flies off to stop the missile and says, "I am Superman."
So right, good. It tears you up.
Oh, if it doesn't, you're dead inside.
And every time I watch that movie, dozens of times, every time.
Yeah,
I'm like, right. And again, another one where you talk about just the incredible voice work being done by the actors and everything, just amazing. And you know, my wife and I think we were two of, well, she wasn't my wife at the time when we saw it, my girlfriend, but I think we were two of like 10 people in the theater when we saw it.
I've never seen either one of them.
Oh my God, you are gonna love both of them, but this one especially, I think, Digger Jim. This one,
Jennifer Aniston as the mom, worried about her kid.
Yes, and of course you got Harry Connick Jr. as the beatnik.
Yeah,
Christopher McDonald.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to me, both of these really nail the coming of age so well with their main characters, and you really feel the character growth and development, like you talked about with You're Almost
Chuck,
Famous.
Pick one. Come on, man.
Oh well. I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick Miyazaki just because it's Miyazaki.
Show's wrong, but good show.
Yeah.
And but also, you probably would have had a real fight with Iron Giant because it melts my heart every time.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna go with coming of age Miyazaki, you would have scored more points with me with Kiki's Delivery Service.
I'm not sure if Kiki's was quite in our time frame though. I think that's the only concern.
Oh, that's a good point.
That is a good point, but
it may be just a hair outside of it. I love that movie.
Every time.
Great,
yeah. No, I love.
Honestly, if people are not familiar with Hayao Miyazaki, they should just go and spend a weekend enjoying. Go to your local library, grab some discs because you will not be disappointed.
And in movie theaters right now this year, they have been doing a one night, one weekend special where they've been showing Miyazaki on the big screen. In fact, my spec pick is coming to the big screen soon because my daughter wants to go see it with me. She works in one of our local Cineplex. But before we do that, we need Cliff to do the score on this before we transition on to the next stage.
Yeah.
Well, I feel for the complete head to toe experience. John really went for it with Almost Famous, and Almost Famous. It's so incredibly true to life and a super fabulous soundtrack. It's gonna win this round because it's relatable for everybody.
Yeah.
Spirited Away is gorgeous and a wonderful piece of animated, but it's like not everyone can watch that. But I feel like 90% of the populace can watch Almost Famous and walk away and be like, damn, like it's just
Man, is there anyone John's Comics for Kids won't pay off for a win?
Listen, he ain't paid me shit. All right, ain't paid me a damn thing.
You better check the YouTube receipts on that one. Just saying.
And if you want, he joined my channel membership, which is all going to the Hyde Park Food Pantry in Hyde Park, New York, because they really need it. So I need to hit over $100 so YouTube will pay me so I can give these people some money.
The fandom events are great that they have. The fandom one night events are awesome.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are so good. And don't forget, I lost my track. There's something good coming to fandom events.
All right, we won't forget it then.
But anyhow, John and I do have to open each other's Comics Drink Cancer wins because he won my X-Men box and I won his X-Men box.
So we're each holding on to each other's boxes and we're going to open them up.
Well, that's comforting to know.
Wow. Is that the first time Cliff's had his hand on a box?
And Digger Jim, you get to watch.
Okay.
All right. So, Gary, if you'll pop me back up, we'll talk about our spec pick here. And I will say that when our spec pick, because my story does go outside the time period, because we John and I kind of talked, and we said once we got out of the top 5, if we kind of strayed outside of the time period, it might happen.
Oh,
so this one is not it. My spec pick is another one from Studio Ghibli. This is the Princess Kaguya, which is fantastic. Now, this was done, I believe, by Miyazaki's son. And it is based off of some traditional stories, traditional mythology. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. The pacing is a little slow. Okay. And again, it is a Studio Ghibli movie, so it does not pace like, we normally do things. This is out in Fathom, I think, very soon. It's going to have this out, I think, this month. And, or it was last month. I can't remember. Anyways, the last couple of weeks have been crazy, so my brain might be a little kerfuddled on that. But this is one that kind of flew under the radar. We saw it without any dubbing, so we saw it in the original language, and it was just mesmerizing. It is so lovely. The story is fantastic too. The art in it is just amazing and powerful. It looks very much like a traditional set of painted drawings from the 13th, 14th century. Very much has that kind of feel to it. And I cannot recommend it enough for you to see if you haven't seen it. We don't own a ton of Blu-rays here because we just we haven't quite gone all streaming yet. We're very much moving that direction. We had to have this on Blu-ray. And this was not one where there was a debate amongst the family of, oh, Dad wants it because Dad's an animation nerd. No, It was a 4 for 4. It was a 4 for 4 vote for. So, nice. We had a unanimous decision on this one. And it's really, really terrific. So I cannot.
I'll have to go look for that one. I've never heard of it.
It may be on Max with the rest of the Studio Ghibli stuff. I don't know if it is or not. So, but that's my spec right there.
That's awesome.
So,
it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Okay.
I have many thoughts, but
you have reservations.
I also have reservations, but let's see what John brings.
Yeah.
That's right. Well,
I needed a good foreign film, and this is one that I never seem to be able to find just an American region version that's in English. So the version I found was it's all in Indonesian or Mandarin. Sorry, this is Infernal Affairs. This is the film that is the basis that they used for The Departed, which is a really mediocre remake of this amazing film. So this is the rooftop
for spec picks. We all skyrocketed. Okay. Y'all boom.
Tony Leung and Andy Lau are the leads. They're playing the Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio roles if you're fans of The Departed. But obviously, you have a cop undercover with the bad guys, and then you've got a bad guy undercover with the cops, and they're both trying to betray each other, and you've got the two sides that are just playing the game, the system the way it's meant to be done, and these guys who are sort of abusing the system in different ways. But the performances from the two leads are just absolutely phenomenal. I could watch Tony Leung do anything. I think he is just one of
he's fantastic.
He's just one of the most impressive actors. If you haven't seen In the Mood for Love, absolutely incredible movie, Wong Kar-wai's masterpiece. But I think this is obviously superior to The Departed. But also, there's 3 films in this, and the only way I've seen that you can buy this in English is if you buy the box set. You get all 3 Infernal Affairs films. But for me, as much as I think those films are fine, this one is a freaking masterpiece. It's amazing. Beautiful.
I've never heard of that. That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So Infernal Affairs is the term.
Gotcha. Okay.
And great. And again, you probably haven't heard of it because you really can't get this version very easily. I think I bought this on the street. I bought it on the street, I think, from a vendor in Boston when I was in Cambridge, I think, actually. But I want to say it's streaming. I think the whole trilogy is streaming on one of the services right now. I think it's Amazon or something. You can watch all of the films.
That's really interesting. We got on a Korean TV show kick here for a little while.
Yes.
And got started with a show called Nobody Knows, which was a cop drama which was really, my wife stumbled across it, and we wound up finishing it, and then went on to something Alhambra, which we didn't quite finish, but it was a weird sort of sci-fi.
Yeah, Tales of Alhambra. I've seen that.
Thank you. Yes, yeah, which was really interesting, and we just never quite finished it for whatever reason. But that's one of those areas I'd love to explore if I had time. And
there's lots of good.
I can give you a list.
All of it.
Asian cinema very underappreciated
Netflix
in the US.
Thinks that I'm Korean.
Yeah, well, that's where we found Alhambra was on Netflix. So
Netflix pretty much thinks I'm Korean. I mean, I don't even get regular stuff anymore. It's just
Gary Pete says indie erotic horror. You don't get to do the assignments. I thought Cliff gave me.
No.
That's my wish list.
I got your
wish list.
Sorry.
Gary named indie erotic horror foreign action, and these guys nearly did that in this list.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially, look, they both picked a foreign film.
I am shocked by the foreignness of it all.
Yeah.
I really am. And
there's a man who knows what he's talking about.
I mean, if you're ready for the story pick, I can take us to the erotica that you've been waiting for, everybody. But you're not gonna enjoy it probably.
Let's save you for last then, because mine is not that. So.
All right, then you go ahead. Yeah. Let's switch out.
Do we want to hear my thoughts on
we do. Yeah. Jesus. Go ahead.
All right. So Chuck, I'm most familiar with your pick. And although I found the twist ending rather out of left field, I'm going with yours because it is very unique, very interesting, hand-drawn, etc. I'm not that big of a fan of The Departed, and also Infernal Affairs. The trilogy has been streaming on Max for quite some time, and I know someone bamboozled me into watching it, and you know me, I try to do things for men, and it gets nowhere. Although it was good, and one of those Asian guys was absolutely hot, I'm giving this one to Chuck.
Okay. All right. So our story pick. So we kind of agreed that we could go a little bit outside of our time period for our story pick, because I think John would tell you we had an interesting time selecting things within that time window. And so I thought about the story pick. What's a movie I want to tell a story about that I love that didn't make it on my top 10 list, and it wasn't going to make this list because of our time period. And so when I thought about sci-fi, I got to go OG. So we're talking about Metropolis.
Damn, you went way OG.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this movie for me, and I don't know how it didn't make my initial top 10 list, my initial 10-1-1 list. There are very few silent films that I am willing to sit through without a gun to my head. And most of the ones are Chaplin movies. This movie, however, even they once released like the whole uncut version, which was like 2.5 hours, which is just insanely long for a silent film. Even that was worth watching. You have the beautiful German expressionism stuff from the 1920s going on here. You got the Art Deco style, which of course has been redone and Mike Fleischer uses for Superman. And we see again and again and again over time. You have a great story, dystopian story here. Wonderful undertones there of social change and social conflict. And of course, you have the woman, this amazing woman, and the scene where they transfer her from the machine to the human. You look at that 1920s technology, film technology that they used, and it just really blows me away that it is still emotionally evocative.
Wow.
100 years later, we're still looking at it going, my God, that's just incredible. And so for me, when I thought of sci-fi, this is what, we go back to the thing that really grabbed people with sci-fi and said, this is how we can tell stories in this way. And we can create the genre. It's not just
right. This is why this genre matters.
Right.
It's not just Flash Gordon. Not that I don't love Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon serials, because they're great in their own way. But here you're talking about more serious storytelling in a much more evocative way, in a way that still grabs people even today. So that's my story right here. And I came across this in a film studies class in college, and it was just like totally blown away. Came home and told my dad about it. My dad loved classic cinema, and he gave me this look of, boy, what's wrong with you? Don't you know what this movie is?
No, Dad. If you spent more time with me as a kid, maybe I would.
Well, you know, if you could actually subscribe to Cable Dad in 1991, and we had Turner Classic Movies, I could learn about these things.
Maybe if you took me to a couple more trips to the video store.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now, in his credit, he did introduce me to Hitchcock by taking me to see Rear Window when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
When I absolutely did not want to go. He said, you're going to go see this movie whether you like it or not. You're going to this movie. I'm going to buy you candy. Fine, I'll sit there anything for candy at 13.
Yeah.
And walked out and going, that woman's amazing, Dad. He said, yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Nice.
So there's my story right there.
And then they had to go back to pick the mom up because they totally forgot about her.
Wow.
I just left her in the theater.
Anyways.
No, you know, I didn't see a lot of movies with my dad either. And it was like the few times we did, it was always like kind of an event thing. It was like, oh, okay, wow.
Well, we went and saw a lot of movies together. He loved movies, but he didn't do a lot of the classic older classic movies with me because, quite frankly, he didn't think I was going to be interested in them. And the neat thing was, after seeing this, the next year, Casablanca had its 50th celebration. The next year.
Oh,
and
nice.
it came to what was, and still to a certain extent, is the Art House Theater in Raleigh, which is not too far away from my parents live. And he said, we're going to go up there to the movie theater where they still have the space where the piano used to sit for the silent films. And we're going to see Casablanca on the big screen at the Rialto.
Right.
Nice.
And that was a great experience.
You know, and Casablanca was one of those movies I didn't watch for a while. So like, there's just no way it can live up to the hype. It's just all, and then I watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's actually that good.
Yeah. You know,
Maybe I got to retrain my brain on that one.
Yeah. I showed that one to teenagers when I teach U.S. history. And Mr. Hensey, you're going to show us another black and white movie. So yeah, I'm going to show you a black and white movie. And immediately you can feel all the cell phones coming out. You know. And then they get about a third of the way through it, and they're like, wait a minute, this might actually be good.
Yeah.
And then they hit the Massier scene, and they're like, all right, we're invested now. All right, we're here. We want to know how this thing ends.
Right.
You know. And then you tell them the story about how the movie was actually written or not written or written on the fly.
So many books about the journey of that movie.
Exactly.
And the fact that it is what it is a miracle.
Get into it. But anyways, that's not the story about Metropolis.
Right. Yeah, it draws you in though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great story, Chuck. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was.
So right, I think now you got to do your spec pick.
No, we've done our spec.
I did. That was Spirited.
We did spec. Now it's my turn to do my.
I'm sorry, I got caught up in this stuff.
Cliff's talking. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry about that, Cliff. Wow.
Oh.
Wow,
I didn't mean to bring the house down, but Gary's like, let's highlight Cliff's comment.
It's all right. I'm gonna bring erotica and grief and trauma together in my pick.
I had the optimistic story. Now we've got John's story. So here we go.
Now you've got John being bamboozled. So my story has to do with teenage John had a lot of freedom at the video store to rent whatever he wanted within a certain. Obviously, you couldn't go behind the curtain. But at the video store, I was given free reign. So you always were looking for the most evocative, provocative covers and titles and whatever.
Oh, of course.
And I was unfamiliar because he had really not made many movies of who Atom Egoyan was. And as I'm going along, I see this movie called Exotica sitting on the shelf. And I'm like, well, this is something John's going to want to see. And it's got 2 enthusiastic thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert right on the cover. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. Bruce Greenwood, a very talented actor. Yeah. Elias Koteas, who, if you guys have seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he's Casey Jones. I was like, this is going to be something interesting. It's traumatizing, this movie. It's amazing. I obviously own it now
I've never
because it's
seen
part
that
of my
one.
psyche.
I haven't
The
either.
concept has to do with a group of people in and around this strip club called the Exotica who are all going through the grieving process and are traumatized by an event from their past that they share, and we don't realize how they're all connected. There's the patron, played by Bruce Greenwood. There's the dancer, played by Mia Kirshner. There's the DJ, played by Elias Koteas. There's the pregnant woman who owns the club, and all of them are sort of tied together from trauma in their past. When the reveal happens at the end, as far as like what it was that set them on this journey and how they're all connected, it's scarring. It's like shocking and powerful. And a few years later, I said, "Oh, this guy's got another movie coming out. It couldn't possibly be as scarring as this one." And then I saw The Sweet Hereafter with Ian Holm and Bruce Greenwood again. And it's just as traumatizing. It has to do with a bus crash and all the children dying in a frozen lake.
Wow.
Like, just this filmmaker has a way of just like burrowing like a splinter underneath your psyche, and just it's. I'm surprised. He's probably just so wrought in his own grief that he hasn't been able to keep making films at that level. But those first two movies are stunning, and this one often it gets forgotten. I think people find this on my shelf all the time, and they're like, "John, you got porn up there with your movies?" Turns out not so much. I was disappointed on one level, and yet completely enlightened to a talented filmmaker on another level. So there you go.
Nice.
Exotica.
All right, so now we've had those, I would like everyone here to just all of us go around and state what we think is an underrated movie, because people should have something that is underrated that you want someone else to see that they've never seen, something that's good. I'll start, and mine is a movie, I think it's from like 1985, called Creator, with Vincent Spano, Peter O'Toole, and Mariel Hemingway. A movie that will make me cry every time I watch it. Just him, Vincent Spano, just crying for his girlfriend to make it. And Barbara. It hits you in the gut. It's quirky too, but Peter O'Toole's completely aloof in it, and it's great. Mariel Hemingway's fantastic. But I love the movie The Creator. And then we'll go right down the row. Cliff, what's an underrated film that you think not enough people have seen?
Underrated film, 1999's The Straight Story by David Lynch.
Ooh, great pick.
Okay.
Yeah,
Never seen it.
a best actor nominated.
Very human, very heartfelt. An old man sets out to make amends with his brother. Like, yo, just talk about a movie that gets me every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going because I got nothing.
Certainly not one. Certainly not something that's going to play out in my life.
Right.
With that narcissist that I have.
Well, what was the name again?
The Straight Story.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
Taylor Winder's commenting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Taylor said it's fantastic. I've never actually seen that one, so I'm going to write it down.
You stumble upon a film and you're like, holy fuck. You know, you're just like blown out of the water. Yeah, this movie. We're like, I didn't know. I didn't know. The other one is The Mole, and it's a Latin American film, and it's a documentary, right? But like with a plot, and like I'm not sure how they went about it, you know, but like they tell this older gentleman, like a local detective agency says, this woman wants to know how her mother's being treated at this facility. We need someone around your age to go in. We'll equip you with an iPhone and a secret pen and blah, blah, blah. And of course, the old man is all flooded, but he goes in and his daughter brings him. And so he's trying to find this woman and he can't find her. He's trying to figure out who she is, but he's befriending these other people there and learning about them. And their stories are real. So this is like a very meta movie because like, I think these people kind of realize that they're part of some documentary, but like, but the lead actually is like following a plot. I don't know. Like,
wow.
But the point is he goes through this whole thing and he keeps making he figures out how to make notes for the police, you know, and they're like sarcastic. He goes, look, I know I barely know how to use an iPhone and stuff, but like, I can't find this woman. And I found another woman. She barely remembers her daughter's face. Can you help me? And so they find the woman's Facebook, and he gets pictures from the woman's Facebook for this woman whose memory is deteriorating, and she sees all these pictures of her daughter and granddaughter, and she starts crying and holding him. Right? Then there's another woman there. She's an artist and a poet, and then she dies, and they have a beautiful funeral for her there, and they read her poetry. You know, and there's another one. And then the only party that they have there is his birthday party, because his daughter and her family show up to celebrate his birthday, and all of the residents had an amazing time. They're like, oh, it's so wonderful. No one ever comes, you know? So the movie ends with the daughter getting him out of there, him saying goodbye to everybody, the camera shifting to all the faces that are still there that you met, and him writing to the detective. The sad thing is, after finding that woman, is if this daughter wanted to know how her mother was being treated, all she ever had to do was come visit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't believe this movie.
See, I don't have anything like that. The only one that comes to mind is so a couple of things. When I'm watching something, if it grips me, whether it makes me mad or sad or happy, I remember that. Yeah. And there's a period in time in our history where not too long ago, actually, and everybody witnessed it, was 2008, when they had the big financial crisis, which to me has always made me angry.
Sure.
And there's a movie called The Big Short. And if you have not seen The Big Short, it breaks it down. It breaks down the housing crisis in so many different levels.
Yeah.
And how each person, person in the market took advantage of it. And how could they let this happen? That whole thing. And it's just like Steve Carell's in it. He's amazing. Ryan Gosling's character is amazing. Even Brad Pitt's in it just a little bit. Just the right amount. There's one scene where these two young guys.
Oh, and it's got Margot Robbie in a bathtub, if you really want. I mean,
well, I mean,
I'm not mentioning that. There's this one scene where these two young guys are making, they're so excited because they shorted this bank stock and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, man, we're gonna make a killing. And Brad Pitt's character plays an older stockbroker who's been around a long time. He's kind of like their mentor, and he turns around and says, listen, don't celebrate. People are about to lose their houses because of this. This is a big deal. Yes, you're shorting this and you're going to make a lot of money, but think about what you're doing, how it's going to impact the world. He said, this is why I don't do this thing anymore, because his character basically went away from the market because of how it made him feel. Like he started thinking about it more deeply. And it's just such a great, it made me so angry. And I like to feel something when I come out of after watching something. And afterwards I was like, man, I'm more pissed than ever, but that was great. Did you see how there's like, and I bet I've watched it 4 times. And every time I'm just, I see another thing and I'm like, yep. Don't know why that happened. Don't know why they let that happen. I hate these people.
Greed, corruption, lack of accountability.
Sure.
And it's everywhere, and it's for everybody who isn't you or me.
And it's got Margot Robbie about
yes and no, because look, there's a scene in there where Steve Carell's group go down to Florida, and they interview this stripper, and she's clearly not making the kind of money to have 5 different houses. Like, how do you own these houses? And she's telling them, oh, I just do this, and they give me a loan for this. And so there were people, when you say the greed was at the top and the greed was at the bottom.
Sure.
People thought they could,
Oh no.
I'm just saying, you can't just pin it all at the top. I definitely think the people at the top. But the biggest thing about this film is at the end, they show you exactly that it doesn't end. That they just recategorize, rename it, package all the loans together, and it's still shit. Yeah. So, and we're still doing it today. It's just
my goodness, Char. Jim, I'm sorry. What a shock. Oh.
Right. Trigger Jim is at it again.
Whatever.
He's not wrong.
Jim, salute. Okay.
There you go.
Look, it's the one that came to mind because I was thinking you're over there being so sad. And I'm like, well, yeah, there are movies that made me sad, but what made me angry? You know what? Another one
made me angry. The one with Meryl Streep on Netflix made me angry, where the insurance companies were all shell corporation after shell corporation.
Yep.
Freaking one with Mark Wahlberg and what's his face? That's actually a lovely comedy with Michael Keaton as their cop boss. But at the end, it shows you the whole freaking investment crisis happened. I was like, you want to talk about movies that are entertaining and make you freaking angry? There's 3 of them right there. Go look it up, people. Chuck, take us away, baby.
All right, so here we go. So I got 2 movies that came to mind here. The thing is, we could probably do a whole 10-on-1 on underrated movies, I think, as long as I don't have to own them, because these are 2 I don't own. One of them I remember seeing as a kid was Cloak and Dagger with Dabney Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
And
I was forgetting about on that movie
because of course I saw it. I heard the name. I was like, "Oh, this is Cloak and Dagger. I know who Cloak and Dagger are. We're going to go see this movie."
I did that too as a kid, Chuck.
Hey, I didn't read the reviews, man. I was 13. Okay, it was the summer. I needed air conditioning. What more? What we got instead is a great movie with Henry Thomas, who should have been a major movie star. He's done a great job as a supporting character as he's grown up. But as a kid, his work in E.T., his work in so many movies was so incredible. And here he's playing a kid who has lost his dad, or his dad is missing, and he's fantasized this fake spy and thinks this fake spy is real and is sort of living in this in-between world. And this is one of those Disney live-action films.
Yeah.
From the 80s, most of which, quite frankly, are terrible. Okay, I mean, you could say Hot Lead and Cold Feet is a great movie. I'd probably gotta be checked into a sanitarium, but I'm sure there's someone who feels that way. This movie, however, there's a lot more depth to it, especially when he discovers his dad and doesn't need Coleman's character anymore.
Right.
And you really get that feel. And Coleman, for me, was too over the top for me in a lot of TV shows. But here he really hits the notes well. And
a different kind of role for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great role for him. And the other movie I was going to mention is a more recent one, which not a lot of people saw. We saw it at the Rialto with independent movie theaters and everything. Took our kids to it, and they were only about 13 when they saw it, and they loved it, which just stunned me. And that is Mr. Holmes from 2015. Mr. Holmes stars Ian McKellen.
Yes.
As a 97-year-old Sherlock Holmes in 1947.
Nice.
Reflecting back on his life, interacting in a rural area with a widowed housekeeper. He's not happy about how his image has been revealed and everything, and he's really reflective on his life. This is Sir Ian McKellen really just nailing an iconic character, but at a very different part of the life than we're used to seeing Sherlock Holmes. Now, spoiler alert, I will see just about anything with young Sherlock with Sherlock Holmes in it. I love the Sherlock Holmes stories. They're great.
Yeah.
To me, McKellen really nails this so well, filling in the blanks of what happened after the end of the last Sherlock Holmes story up until now in his 90s in 1947. And how it just really fills in both his successes and his failures, real and perceived, and how he has to move from a character who's often seen as being emotionless, which I never really liked. I never got the impression Sherlock Holmes was emotionless. He
was just aloof.
He's aloof. He relates to people differently. Maybe not quite as differently as Benedict did with him, but just always looking at things from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah.
And here you really see him humanizing himself in many ways, in interacting with this boy, interacting with his mother, and reflecting on himself. One of the great pieces of casting in this, by the way, is that when you look at the cast, starring as the matinee Sherlock is a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Rowe. Nicholas Rowe had played Sherlock Holmes before. He was the main lead. Yeah, thank you very much, Brother John. Yes, Laura Linney is just aces in it. Nicholas Rowe played young Sherlock Holmes in the Steven Spielberg movie from 1985, which is also criminally underrated.
Yeah, that's a fun movie.
That is such, and it's also the early CGI and computer graphics with the knights in it. But he does a great job. To me, the Mr. Holmes movie is amazing.
It reminds me a lot of the Sean Connery, Audrey Hepburn, Robin and Marion film, which has a similar concept of taking great literary characters and then looking at them towards the end of their lives, maybe the stories we didn't get of how their journey. So if you haven't seen Connery and Hepburn in Robin and Marion, it's a much older. They're it's Connery's got the full gray beard, and it's a different Robin Hood and Maid Marian story. And I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, that's cool.
So those are my criminally underrated movies, right there.
I'm a big Holmes fan too. I like anything Sherlock Holmes. I mean, when I was a kid, I read all the stories, loved them.
Well, I even love the 7% Solution, both the book and the TV movie that was done. Even though it does weird things with the Holmes story, but
now
you've got a fan in the chat here.
Who's your favorite Sherlock cinematic Holmes?
Listen, I agree.
Favorite cinematic Sherlock? Oh, geez.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's hard to. How do you beat Basil Rathbone? Yeah, Basil. It's hard to beat Basil Rathbone. I mean, come on.
Love him.
Well, I tell you though, my introduction to Holmes was my dad listening to old radio tapes where it had Sir John Gielgud doing Holmes. And what I loved about Gielgud was there was always this little bit of whimsy in his voice, which you don't always get from Basil Rathbone, who's much more straight and serious. Where Gielgud, he's almost laughing at people. Not in a mean way, but just in almost a slightly amused as everybody else is running around, and there's just this feeling of amusement of going, "Oh my dear Watson, what do you mean you?" It's so cute that you're trying to figure this out.
I always, and it's probably because I spent more time with him as Holmes than anybody because of the length of the television show, but Johnny Lee Miller's Elementary, the way he played him as an addict, the way he played him as it was like you could see he was autistic, like the way he was, the way he moved and the way he spoke and the habits that he had. Johnny Lee Miller's always going to be high on my list just because of how many hours I saw him do this part and the journey that he went on versus, obviously other performers that maybe only had a handful of movies at best,
Yeah.
Well, I do like the Benedict shows. Those were great too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So
I don't know. Mr. Holmes may really take the cake for me. But I gotta say, it's y'all drag me through the memory bins, and young Sherlock Holmes with Nicholas Rowe. Yeah, definitely that was a solid little film back then.
So I picked one that I had over here as a possible story pick from earlier because I somehow saw this at a film festival screening or something back in, this was like early 90s, mid 90s, something. This is Clive Owen and Croupier.
I've never seen that, and I love Clive Owen as an actor. He's
so fantastic. This is the director Mike Hodges, who did you talked about Flash Gordon earlier. He directed the Flash Gordon film. He's a British filmmaker, and this is a very British tale. But it's the focus is obviously gambling and addiction, and also on the other side, it's a writer who is daydreaming a lot of this. So there's like a split narrative kind of going on where Clive Owen is a writer needing to make ends meet. He's a really good croupier, so he can deal the cards, he can spin the wheel, he can do any of that stuff at the casino, and he likes gambling, but this gives him he scratches the itch because the house always wins. So being the croupier allows him to watch other people go through the journey of gambling addiction while he can play out fantasies and try to come up with a story that's interesting. Alex Kingston is a phenomenal actress. She was on ER, if you've never heard of her, and she is sexy as all nakedness in this and amazing. But this is a great early Clive Owen piece that a lot of people haven't seen and very underrated, underappreciated. Most people never heard of it. So great little movie.
And and Clive Owen is an underrated actor in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I've
And this is
never
a movie
seen him
that's
in
unlike
anything that
anything.
I haven't enjoyed his performance.
This is going to be a different thing than you've seen him do, and I think it's kind of fun. This was the movie that made people think, "Oh, he could be James Bond" because he's wearing a tuxedo like 90% of the movie.
Right.
Oh, you put someone in a tuxedo, they could be Bond.
And he's British. He's got that. He's got
Right.
that. He does a British accent really well in this because isn't he Irish? Isn't he? Is he Irish?
I think he's Irish. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, those were. I mean,
But I believe I interrupted Cliff, who was going to say that he had some big revelation he wanted to share.
Yes, Nicholas Rowe, who
Yeah.
starred in Young Sherlock Holmes,
Yes.
is the younger Sherlock in the flashbacks in Mr. Holmes.
Yes, that's what Chuck was saying.
Yeah.
He's also in
have
Lock,
the
Stock, and Two
revelation.
Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, that's fine too. But like, I didn't have that revelation. I was somewhere else apparently, and I was like,
You're spacing
oh,
out. It's all good.
It's all right.
I love when people make really good Easter eggs.
Right?
Yes.
Now I want to watch both those movies back to back.
Yeah,
Bug was a hard watch.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough
that's
one.
one I wouldn't watch again.
Yeah,
What?
that's a tough one.
Bug.
But oof. But and you know what? People give Ashley Judd a lot of crap, but she can act her ass off. She can act her ass off. She should never rap again, ever. Never.
That's true.
Ever.
That's true of most white people, though, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't she in like what didn't she do like what is it, double indemnity or something? Double something?
No,
She did,
Double
Double Jeopardy. Yeah,
Because
double
she
Jeopardy.
already went to jail for murdering that man,
And
and
then-
now he's trying to come after her from beyond. And
Kiss the
she's
Girls.
like, "You can't get me
Yeah.
again."
I
Kiss the Girls
love
is
Double
fabulous.
Jeopardy.
Kiss the Girls was great too. She was great in that.
Mm.
Kiss the Girls is great. Double Jeopardy is great. I remember forcing my mom to watch those movies, and my mom was like, "This is amazing. Oh, it's so violent. Oh, she can fight. It's so great."
Oh, she can fight.
So, guys, phenomenal. That was so much fun. I think we're all. The thing is with film, right? There's just so much to love.
Yeah.
Like, you don't run out of anything that you're appreciating. Just so good. All right, so let's go around and see what everyone's got coming up. Cliff, let's start with you, sir. What's coming up for you?
I've got Pop Culture Philosophers Rockin' Robbie, 10 a.m. Saturday morning for Comics and Coffee with Cliff. Come on over, catch your Rate It or Hate It, and your 5-finger shuffle, and your Bussy Busters for me and Robbie. Shirts available now in the online store. I mean, we're going to have a great time.
Oh, those are all good.
Yeah, Best in Show is out of all
Christopher
those
Guest
my
films?
favorite.
Yo,
Yeah.
Almighty Win, Best in Show, Waiting for Guffin, all of them. Those movies
Yeah,
are
they're great.
wonderful.
Guffman might be my favorite. I think there's some lines that just crush me in that.
Yeah, I don't know though.
Lots
Mighty
of fun.
Wind, I gotta tell you that one just that slays me. It
Does it?
really-
I need to watch that one again. I
Yes.
only think I saw it the one time.
Yeah.
Well, all right, John, what's coming up for you, sir?
Saturday morning, I got Cliff coming over on my channel because we're gonna do a double unboxing and we're gonna talk all fun X-Men related things as we both of us, like Cliff said, won each other's mystery X-Men boxes during C3, and we're finally getting around to unboxing them.
And you wonder why he won, Chuck.
Yeah.
Hey, there's-
Now we know.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
behind the
no.
scenes play here.
I want you to know that you did very well, and I'm sorry that you got edged out, but I want you to know I thought you had some very strong picks. Moulin Rouge. I mean, honestly, I'm really sorry that you kind of blew it with Serenity there. You know,
No way. Serenity is amazing.
but
I was sending my wife's IG so you can talk to her about that.
but like, oh no, what are we gonna do? You know, like, I'm sorry. The movie's fine, but it's like it's not a movie for all. That's really
I know. Oh yeah.
that's really one of its biggest. Arrival. I feel like I get lots of people to watch it. Honestly, and I really thought you captured Noir very strongly with The Man Who Wasn't There. I mean, Chuck, you really brought it. And
Hey.
even if we're going to pretend that my biases were actually a major factor, which again, only with Serenity,
We're just picking on you.
Oh, I know. It's all good.
you delivered on this assignment, sir. Fucking great.
We
All right,
love
you
our movies.
delivered great.
Well, and They were both great. I mean, every time you guys are on talking movies, I mean, the show is a little bit more special because you guys have such a passion for it, and you guys bring so much about each movie with you that I'm sure you're enlightening people to something that they haven't noticed about it or seen about it. Mm-hmm. So it's always fun. Jim, what's coming up for you, sir?
I'm definitely digging this weekend. I've been waiting on doing this house, and I think the time is right now. So I'm going to go over there and try to get the guy to let me dig this amazing 1920s house that is family owned since it was created. Like his great grandfather owned it, and it's been passed down. So I'm thinking there's all kinds of history in the ground there. And I'm probably going to try to shoot a little park video where I dig up some stuff and do a comics and coins video. So I want to do another comics and coins video where I find a coin and say, hey, you could have gotten this in 1973. If you've just been smart enough, now it's a key and it's worth thousands of dollars, but you were an idiot in 73, Jim, and you didn't buy it. But I won't put on that.
That sounds like it's talking about comics a lot of time. You could spent 20 cents on that thing. Why didn't you?
I know. It's crazy.
And Chuck, are you coming up on Joe's channel next, I believe?
I will be on Joe's channel tomorrow night. We're doing our pickups and stuff. And so we've got a lot of great things we're going to show. Some cool Silver Age, some Bronze Age, and maybe some other weird Charlton stuffs, among other things. So there, as you know, there's always a great variety of stuff with the guys on Espresso Mail Call.
Yeah.
And so we plan on bringing a wide variety of stuff too. So.
Nice. And for me, next Tuesday, we have John, the Autograph Fisherman, coming on for a card edition of the 1011. So we're crossing over into the card community for one. And then we have Random Rick Reviews coming on next Thursday with his action figure 1011. And I don't know. So since I got for you here, how do you guys like the taking the format away from comics and doing different things with it? Because I'm really enjoying it being a show for everything.
I think it's great. You know, if you bring in someone who's passionate and who can articulate what's great about what they're talking about, that really keeps the format. Somebody knows my brand very well.
Gary, reach out to on Facebook. Reach out to Phil from the Council of Comics because he has an amazing Laserdisc collection.
Ooh.
No. Then you have to get Rob on here because I think Rob's the only one I've ever heard of that talks about Laserdisc, and he would know it back and front.
Well, you know, Gore, I mean, everyone here loves you, but you've never come on the 1011. Now, we've had some discussions, but I'm sure I could get John and Cliff back on for a Gore episode.
Yeah.
I don't know how familiar Chuck and Jim are with you.
I've seen Gore.
Somewhat.
Gore was on that. Didn't Gore do? I thought he did the 1011.
You have nothing. Yeah. You have nothing on Gore Vidal. Nothing. That man has sent me spiraling into existential dread on more than one occasion.
None of us have anything on Gore.
Yeah, you think you're Trigger Jim? No, it just that title dies the minute he arrives.
Right, but
Gore's next level.
Thank you, each one of you, man. What a great, fun episode. Whenever I know I'm hanging out with you guys, I already know I'm going to have the best time ever.
Gary, stop acting like you're doing work on this show.
I'm not even going to pick on you guys because it's just always a pleasure to have you guys on. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It's such a this is like the best time at the bar without having to go out to the bar. You know, but Thank you guys so much. So much fun. Great picks. Just amazing movies. And we need to do a 1011 movies with guilty pleasures at some point.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Cliff can come up with something.
But that would be fun.
Guilty pleasures is just a perfectly good one.
Yeah. Just pleasures.
Right. Should it be a versus or
Excellent. Gore would like to be on. Yeah, well, we'll discuss. We all know how to contact each other. I mean, John was texting me from the dentist.
I was so worried I was going to be late.
I would be worried, period, because that's just scary. The dentist is my great 2024 is the year of me living in terror of the dentist. Congratulations. And it's spread all sorts of people. Terrifying.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what, Gore? I haven't scheduled December yet, so pick a Tuesday in. I think only December 5th I've scheduled, but I'll get with you. I'll send you an email with some available dates.
Gary,
fantastic.
how about one of your Tuesdays you get with me and we will do cocktails and comics with Cliff, since your work schedule is always so tricky.
It's not anymore. I'm 9 to 5 now, Cliff.
Oh,
I got a new job.
God.
I got a new job.
Monday through Friday, like humans?
I work every other weekend, so I'm 12 on, 2 off. So on the weekends I work, I'm 6 to 12. And my new job is awesome. I love it. There's no stress on me anymore.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so good. You may be able to eat cooch again. I'm so happy for you. And like,
oh my gosh.
It's a great
thank you to the chat. Oh, I don't care. I love each of you guys for your personalities. You know, it's so great. But thank you everyone who's watching. Thank you everyone who catches on the rewind. And hopefully we get to do this again sooner rather than later. And now, Cliff, you know my schedule's open. I don't have to go to bed early. I don't have weird hours anymore. So
I might get you on a Saturday morning, you know. But if you would like to sacrifice one of those Tuesday nights to do comics and cocktails with Cliff, that would be great.
I will. Why don't you pick one later in the month of December and I'll do it.
Okay.
So get with me, all right?
I'll get with you, but you know I'm picking already.
All right.
All right.
That's okay. Well, let's end the show and you can tell me backstage.
Yeah.
Everyone, thank you so much. This was absolutely fantastic and exactly what my week needed. These live shows save me every time I have them because I just had the best time with everybody. I'm a big sap. So thank you, gents. And until next time, you guys know how I like to end this. Keep it casual.